From 29th October to 31st October 2025, the city of Windhoek became the heartbeat of Africa's climate resilience movement. The Climate Change and Futures in Africa Conference brought together over 100 delegates, scientists, policymakers, practitioners, and communities united by one mission: to reimagine our collective response to risk in time and space.
I want to encourage you to look at some of the work that we do at the HSRC that we are very proud of. I'm fully aware that this is a conference that brings together Namibia and South Africa and many other countries represented here, particularly from the SADC region. That in the SADC region, the future of climate resilience depends on regional cooperation. And not just regional cooperation, because that's also an overused term. For us, it means data sharing, policy alignment, and sharing of early warning systems and developing those. Risk, as we know, and Prof said earlier on, knows no boundaries and no borders. It moves across rivers, markets, and air currents. Therefore, our responses must indeed move beyond borders.
Officially opened by the Prime Minister of Namibia, Dr. Elijah Ngurare, and joined by leaders across science and innovation, the conference set a visionary tone, calling for inclusive and evidence-based climate action across Africa.
We have to be practical, we have to be real, we have to deal with contemporary issues, and let's not just theorize. I think that's the gist of what you have said here. What I've also taken home, I never conceptualized our village as university. So I think a takeaway message here is to say, let's use our village university. I think some of the solutions are there. We are probably going to Scandinavia, to Europe, to America, when we are leaving the solutions behind.
We become the activists, because when we learn through the research what are our most pressing issues and what could be solutions, it's up to us to take it to the policymakers and say, here is the implications and what we can do about it.
Across plenaries and breakout sessions, delegates shared bold insights on climate risk, resilience, and the future of Africa's communities. Discussions explored risk analysis, ethics, governance, and communication, linking global frameworks to local realities.
Remember, wherever we are, the communities are the most affected. And this is why most of the time I always say, while others are anxious to reach the moon, as social scientists, we are anxious to reach the village, because we know that's where the main challenge is. Those people don't have resources. They don't have capacity. But it doesn't mean that they don't have real capacity. They can work on their own. So in working with them, we can actually add some of, or even learn from them, some of the knowledges, and then we can develop that knowledge so that they can help themselves. Because most of the time when a disaster happens, the first people to respond is them. So that is why it is critical to always engage. And I was so much excited where I see government officials actually also reiterating the same point.
The conference amplified the role of community-based participatory research, empowering local voices to shape adaptive and ethical responses to climate challenges.
For African cities to anticipate and adapt to climate change, the government needs to take on the role of assisting these African cities to put indigenous and local knowledge in the forefront. But not only indigenous knowledge alone, they need to also integrate that local and indigenous knowledge with modern technology, with modern knowledge.
If you look at how climate crisis has been created, it's impacting in different ways in Global South and Global North. In Global South, the minority people, and when I'm saying minority land-based and indigenous people, they have been suffering. they have been making vulnerable. They are not vulnerable, but they made vulnerable because of the human-created disaster. In the same way, in North America, indigenous people, black people, and also refugee people, they have been suffering also from the human-created climate change. But they are not part of the solution. So what I have learned throughout the community from Global South, the land-based learning, protecting the language, protecting the land-based culture, protecting water is also critical for the indigenous community in Global North. So what we need to co-learn that how the solution in Global South helping to protecting the land, and also similar knowledge we can use in Global North, and we can learn each other, because end of the day it's all of our responsibility.
From early warning systems to indigenous knowledge, the conference showcased how African innovation is driving local solutions to global problems.
Academics, researchers in this room, the ball is in your court. There is nothing that stops us from developing a system of early warning, but assembled and started with all components from right here in the land of the brave.
Why we are saying there's no such thing as natural disasters? It's because it will make us become comfortable to say, what can we do? It's natural. And yet what is natural is the hazard. You find people go and build a home where they know there will be a flood. And you find the government is not doing anything about it. Because also, in politics at times, politics become a livelihood. So the moment we continue to say natural disasters, listen carefully when politicians are talking. It was a natural disaster. Then they come up with blankets, they come up with these things. And yet, that's not what is supposed to happen. If people are living on harm's way, remove them from there. Put them in a safe place.
Globally, from international to national level, we have excellent frameworks, policies and legislation, but implementation remains a challenge. So resources to capacitate our disaster risk management institutions are also limited. Therefore, governments must find practical steps to ensure policies translate into community resilience. So I will give a couple of examples, such as empowering local leaders. You have your traditional leaders, your councillors, and even religious leaders. So we can empower them through training and so many other activities. We can also implement bylaws and integrate indigenous and local knowledge together with those bylaws, disaster management bylaws. So the practical steps should also include the community's voice. Let us make the last mile the first mile.
HSRC's Professor Charles Hongoro emphasized the importance of ethical governance and research collaboration in building a capable developmental state.
The Human Sciences Research Council is a statutory council, one of the statutory councils in South Africa that is responsible for carrying out policy-oriented research. Our work must make a difference. So the question is, how do we shape policies for issues that are multidimensional like climate change? How do we do that? We do that by ensuring that the definition of the problems within climate change are done in a consultative way. So what it means is that the necessary stakeholders are involved in defining what the problem is. They are also therefore consulted in generating that evidence, and they are also involved in the discussion and use of that evidence. Now, when you do that, you increase the probability and the likelihood that the evidence is actually used. Because climate change issues are multidimensional, we work in a multidisciplinary and in a transdisciplinary way to ensure that we bring on board different professionals that look at different aspects of climate change. It therefore means that the solutions we give are also multidimensional, and the solutions we provide are multidimensional. And this is something that we have been doing for years. It has become our culture that if you want to make a difference, generate information that is needs-based, that is demand-driven, that involves partnership, that is real and practical and that fits the context.
One message was clear. The future of climate resilience in Africa lies in our ability to learn, share, and act together. From Windhoek to the world, the Climate Change and Futures in Africa Conference 2025 has reignited hope for a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient continent.